Hello, I'm Danielle Clark. I'm going to not use the mic. So we started with a portfolio team as well, which consisted of all classroom teachers, a second grade teacher, a 1-2 combination teacher, a third grade teacher, and a first grade teacher, as well as our technology teacher that houses all of K-5. And really, this team has led the work that we do at Holly Springs each day. And specifically, the launch that I had in it as the administrator was to really support the work that they have done. I asked them to design an implementation plan for Holly Springs so that they could see that we clearly and consistently would meet these needs, but in small chunks and over time. And we built that bridge through a Tech Tuesday that happened mornings and afternoons. And we used and gave the time in the afternoons to Tech Tuesday sessions in the spring that was truly focused on the artifacts for their evaluations. And so it was not a have to, but we encourage you to start your artifacts that you're going to turn in for the NECES evaluation through the Tech Tuesday. So these wonderful folks committed to that and built their own portfolio, which they'll show you, and they built it with the standards. So we took standard 1 and we talked about artifacts, and standard 2 and so on. And I'll let them bridge the way to what we do in the classroom instructionally and tying that.
Okay, I'll turn it on just in case. So from there, once the teachers who had chosen to participate in the teacher part of the portfolio, they now have an understanding of what the kids are going through and what they need to be doing. So that was a really important aspect of having that. I'm just going to go back and say that we are very lucky at our school to have a supportive administration who pushes this for us and allows us to have this time to do this as well. I think that is very important to have to make sure that your staff is all on board. In my classroom, I teach a technology digital literacy class, and I teach kindergarten through 5th grade. So I was very fortunate to be able to touch every student in this aspect. So right now we have, this beginning of the year, so we have half of 1st grade, and then all of 2nd through 5th grade have portfolios. Our goal this year is to get the rest of 1st grade on once the beginning of the year keeps going. And then our goal this year is to look into seeing how we can manage this with kindergarten, because we know it's possible. It's been done in Wake County. It's just how are we going to work on that as a school. We've done it a couple different ways at our school. We've had the students create it, like Chris had mentioned, where they do it step by step, like they go to new site, create their site from scratch. We've also kind of changed paces with that and had them also work on it from a shell. I see the pros and cons to both of those. I don't think one is better than the other. It really just determines on what your teachers are feeling comfortable with. Having the students complete it from scratch is nice because then they now know how to create a site. So you also give them those skills to build upon as well. And yeah, so that was our shell that we created there. So we are very lucky to be able to have that opportunity for every student to have a portfolio. So it wasn't left on the teachers then to create that. It's already done. All they have to do is provide the artifacts for the students to implement. So I also teach them how to put in an artifact and how to reflect on it as well. On the next slide, there is a link to some reflection questions that we have that students can use. We just kind of help them. It's just one from Edutopia, and just for them to think outside the box. So instead of just saying, I really like this about my assignment, what are some different reflection questions you can use? So anything that we can really help them, especially in elementary school, just get started. I think that was one thing that we had to come to terms with, is realizing that this is just elementary school. They're just starting small steps.
And that reflection piece has been something that we stressed at all of our professional learning, and I didn't do a good enough job mentioning that in my overview. That's really the glue that holds it together. if you don't pause to say, where was I as a learner, where am I now, and where do I want to try to get to, whether that's with a teacher-led conference or written down on the portfolio, the reflection piece is something that we really advocate for. And then, yeah, there's lots of good, we've made a few resources. This is a very nice one. If a student struggles with that, just ask them, can you please answer 2 of these questions as part of the portfolio? And if a student struggles to type, it's so easy to scaffold this with a Chromebook. They just do voice typing, and they can just narrate their thoughts, and they'll have it, and they can put those, copy and paste those. So technology can be our friend in that regard to scaffold that. So back to Lindsay.
Yeah, so I teach 2nd grade this year. Last year I was a 1st and 2nd grade combo. So now that my students had the show, it was my responsibility to start adding artifacts. And these are 2 1st graders diagonal from each other, and there's a 2nd grader. But beginning of the year, I did it actually whole group, where I said, okay, let's go ahead and insert, go to Google Drive, get your Google slide that you just did on your informational piece. I did that whole group with having 8 Chromebooks, some BYOD devices, and then 4 desktops, and all my students were able to have a device, and we clicked it all together. But as the year progressed, I did it in small group, or even half the class with me doing their portfolio and half of them doing something else. But y'all, they can do this. I mean, by the end of the year, they were adding their own artifacts without me even telling them, and they could reflect with a positive and a negative or strength or weakness, like, automatically. So, yeah, some things we've added, it's easy. I know in high school, y'all are probably all on Google Classroom. My sister is going to be a senior in high school. She's like, yeah, everything's on there. So y'all could easily input anything they're doing on the drive in here. It's so easy. I love this shapes one. We took a picture, they had to create a shape and then tell me the attributes below it. Great way for me to see if they know their shapes. But yeah, we use Screencastify. Do you want to talk about that? Okay.
That's just another thing that we did. Like, we collaborate a lot on this together, and we just taught the kids how to, that's another thing on top of voice typing. If they can't do typing very well yet, if they're in the younger grade, then using Screencastify is a great way to do that as well, because they can just record their voice as well as recording their artifacts.
So this student's partitioning, and she was just explaining how she partitioned that circle into halves, and me just listening to that let me know, oh, I know she can partition shapes, so.